Oh yeah. Hello everyone. I wanted to talk about something unique, something special today. In almost a decade of my life, I contemplated what professional roles fit me best, right? The good news is, till now, I haven't gotten a hand of it. However, I'm in a better place deciding what to do after my current program. Now, there were deeper issues that resulted to, that growing confusion. I had a young, growing family, some financial instability, the need for validation in some cases, the longing to be good at everything. But the obvious reason was due to the diverse nature of pharmacy practice, where we were trained to be valuable assets in every sector. Yes, that training affected me in some ways. I couldn't just decide. I couldn't just make up my mind as to where I wanted to be. I couldn't even introduce myself in any specific specialization at some point. All I knew was that I was a pharmacist. Now, this is an opening to, some other deeper issues about the obstacles that I encountered in trying to become a valid name in industry and society in general. As I'll touch on this gradually and I'll build up the podcast. So, welcome to Roda 360, the podcast where we educate, we motivate, and we elevate. And I'm your host, Rhoda Winners. And today we're exploring a very unique concept, niche specialization. In clinical research, many professionals start as generalists, not specialists. Generalists explore broad areas, they wear multiple hats, but then over time, carving a niche can lead to deeper impact, career clarity, and professional growth, and even financial gains. So, what does it mean to go from generalist to specialist? And why does your niche matter at this point of your life or in your career? So, we're going to be defining generalist and specialist, and I'm going to be telling a little story about myself. I'll be telling some stories as we build along the podcast. So, a generalist is a professional with broad knowledge across multiple areas of research or healthcare. Now, they are often involved in diverse tasks but may lack deep expertise in one domain. While I can give examples of many people, that have succeeded or that have gone through this phase, I want to, or I prefer to use myself as an example, at least for this episode. I had experience working in hospital as a clinical pharmacist, community pharmacy, you know, community engagement, patient education, health education, working with non-governmental organization, private institutions, government, pharmacy startup consulting. Yes, I started pharmacies, then rolled into the industry. Well, this time mistakenly. While looking for a job after we moved to a new place. In this new place, I faced all manner in Nigeria. I faced tribalism. I faced disappointments from people I knew, people I was loyal to, people I called my own. I faced insults from people who thought they knew better or who thought they had it better, and all sorts. Yet I was determined to be somebody. I was determined um, to have a name and, of course, some stability in life. Aside the quest for financial stability at that point, I didn't want to lose my professional skills, the skills I had built from clinical practice. I didn't want to I didn't want my pharmacy degree to go to waste. So I pushed. In fact, I worked as a casual staff in supply chain and distribution for about a year before I was fully employed. Yeah, that was how I pivoted into industry. So you see that jumping jobs for me wasn't about exercising options or the power of choice. I had no option at a point. Here, I had to, like in this company now, I had to learn different skills. It was a bit challenging, but I didn't mind. Although I knew that area wasn't my fit, supply chain, imagine coming from clinical practice right to supply chain and distribution. I was there learning all I could about medicines, distributions, storage, vaccines, storage and distribution, grant writing, which was very important, the politics about pricing and positioning in non-profit organizations, and so on. The pay wasn't good here, but it was a good starting point for someone like me. Later, I was selected to do a little research, which, yeah, that got me a spot for a funded international poster presentation. And that was my first. It was like a leap, right? Shout out to React Africa, shout out to Ecumenical Pharmaceutical Network, shout out to Antimicrobial Network and partners in Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, the whole of Africa. Thank you. Your girl is over here winning, but definitely not in antimicrobial resistance anymore. From supply chain, I was opportune to be moved to marketing and sales department of the same company. Uh, this was quite challenging, but it was interesting. It was something I wanted because I thought I wasn't doing well in supply chain. I thought I should be in, sales and detailing. So detailing of medicines, branding, quality assurance, stakeholder engagement became the order of the day. You see, even though I was learning a lot along the way, it was challenging, because I had no one to learn from. Now, this was a company with high staff attrition rate. Of course, because of the maybe many challenges, especially financial challenges, politics, boardroom, things going on. So I had little training on major skills. Now, although I was here and there, I was a master. I was not never a master of any of these roles or departments, but then I had experience working there. Anyway, I'll stop with this story for now. You understand the part you of a generalist. At least from this story, you can now understand what it means to be a generalist. Profound with diverse experience, but no expertise in a specific area. Who is a specialist? This is a professional with focused expertise in a specific area. In pharmacy, it could be pharmacovigilance, patient centered outcomes, or implementation science or regulatory science. You know, say when I was in the hospital, for instance, I found interest in a specific area, which I actually did. I was interested in HIV management. I was even doing a little research on it. Again, I had to leave, right? And I didn't think it was going to be something big. Say I took interest in this field and spoke to specialists about it, or took up courses and postgraduate programs relating to HIV management. And, I could have spiraled into a specialist clinical pharmacy or clinical pharmacist role in HIV management. It could have been antimicrobial resistance in, say, HIV or diabetes, or even something in patient information service. So you can you see how diverse it is. Now, generalists are valuable in early career stages, which was valuable for me because I could pick up skills from here and use it there. They learn, they adapt, and explore. A literature published in 2022 in the Clinical Journal of Evaluation in Clinical Practice describes generalists as professionals, who manage a broad range of biomedical and geographical knowledge as part of each clinical encounter, often in multiple encounters over time. So, as a specialist, you get to, encounter different clinical situations which you will learn from. An example is a doctor with a role in like whole person medicine, like GPs, like we call them. In nursing, through a holistic approach, generalist nurses ensure that patients receive well rounded care, promoting overall well being and positive health outcomes. Very important people, I tell you. They coordinate, they manage care plans, they collaborate with interdisciplinary teams, and they provide patient education. On the other hand, specialists are often sought after for grants, for leadership roles, for big government opportunities, for innovation. In New Zealand, a blog called Career Explorer said specialist role specialists play vital roles in healthcare with diverse responsibilities and profound impacts. There when you see a specialist, somehow the patients have this belief that they've seen a small god. Their expertise spans across various medical fields, catering to complex patient needs. And this is not only in clinical practice, even in research and development. They are leaders in their specialties. They navigate intricate diagnosis and treatment plans for individual patients, from cardiology to neurology. In clinical practice, in research, specialists provide specialized care. Of course, their responsibilities, extend beyond clinical practice, encompassing research, teaching, education generally, and mentorship. Specialists contribute to medical advancements and they train the next generation of professionals. So, whether as nurses, whether as physiotherapists, whether as audiologists or optometrists, they are the ones that train others in medical advancements. Now, in the intricate web of healthcare, specialists collaborate with multidisciplinary teams. So, a neurologist can collaborate with a pharmacist, clinical pharmacist, or a researcher, to look for or to search for something. They consult with surgeons and other allied health professionals. Their insights and interventions are pivotal in guiding patient care. The treatment plans they make for, say, patients in chronic pain, patients with migraine, patients with hypertension. There's that collaboration, that specialist collaboration that work for the patient. So whether in hospital or specialized clinics, they offer expertise and guidance. Navigating complex medical cases, they employ cutting edge technologies and evidence-based practice. This is I have witnessed like especially using a new, an innovation, an AI innovation to treat patients in clinical management of pain. They stay abreast of advancement. This is something you'll not see generalists do. In addition to direct patient care, specialists advocate healthcare policies and initiatives because they have the experience, they have the education, they have the expertise in that area. They address systemic challenges, they promote patient welfare, and their roles are dynamic, like we know, evolving with advancement in medical science, changes in healthcare delivery. Specialists adapt to meeting emerging needs, whether in infection, whether in mental health disabilities. So look at where you are today in your career, whether in healthcare or banking or supply chain, wherever. Are you satisfied? Do you think you are there yet? Or would you need to upgrade to some specialist niche, some specialist position? And this is not only about medical or health professionals, like I said before. It's a call to everyone who wants some form of closure, some form of growth, and fulfillment. Don't get me wrong, generalists are also very important in both clinical and non-clinical roles. Yeah. The diverse skill sets of generalists is suitable for a broad range of responsibilities. Yeah, so whether as a healthcare person or not, whether in clinical roles or not, whether in research and development, in industry or academia, they are very important. This way, generalists provide plenty of value for institutions, particularly in smaller companies. For instance, some of the skills I picked up in medication management in the hospital and in community pharmacy later served me when I was working in supply chain. Yeah, some of which, but then mainly when I pivoted into sales and marketing, detailing those medications, branding, talking to key stakeholders in the hospital management board and everywhere. They help. So generalists are not useless. It's just that it's safer as for a career person, to just pivot into a specialist role where you know that, yeah, this is where my impact is. When people call my name, this is what they are going to say. I am a professor of neurology, or I'm a professor in pain management, for instance. So that's just the value. And then for smaller companies that cannot afford to pay specialists, they'll of course go for generalists, right, to meet their needs. So smaller companies may not be able to pay or hire a specialist, or they might even be unwilling because they'll say, okay, why a specialist when a generalist can, perform the task. So most smaller companies rely on generalists. So if your ideal workplace is with a small, tight knit group of people, being a generalist could offer you more of those opportunities, more of those situations where you could make impact, and then you could help smaller companies, or if it's even your own. So being a generalist is like being a skilled navigator. Yeah, where you know the terrain. But being a specialist is like being a master cartographer. You map the terrain. For instance, if you're going to a new country, say you're going to Canada, for instance, maybe a generalist example of a generalist would be maybe an immigrant who are just coming in, or maybe within 1 year, 6 months to 1 year, or even 2 years. But a specialist in that case would be someone who had been there for like 20 years or 30 years of their lives, who had walked, traveled around Canada and know how the culture is. So you map the terrain when you are a specialist. So why does niche specialization matter? Why should you think it? Why should you think it? Why not just remain as a generalist and enjoy the diverse skill sets but not being a master of one? What are the benefits of having a niche, whether in clinical or non-clinical roles? And how does specialization elevate your career? I think it elevates your name more and your finances, and gives you opportunity. First of all, it gives you career clarity. You know what you stand for, right? And you know where you are headed. So, for instance, if I wanted to be a professor in, say, management, diabetes management, which I have a colleague who is going to be one soon, I already know that, okay, that is what I want to do. And I'll begin to speak to people, right? I already know the programs I should go for. I already know the kind of books I should study, the kind of patient population that I should begin to study. I already know the kind of research I should do. Right. So I won't say, okay, in the next 10 years, I want to be a professor in diabetes management or a consultant in technologies to boost mental health issues or management, and then I'll go and start studying about antimicrobial resistance. It's like two different paths, right? So you know what you stand for, you know where you are headed, you know if the location you are will help you achieve, that goal. Now it gives you professional identity. You have a name somewhere. You have an identity. You are known for something specific, right? So for instance, now if I was say an immigration consultant. If you hear Rhoda winners, say, oh, yeah, they're immigration consultant. Like we have many of them in Nigeria. Then it gives you opportunities for, say, grants, collaboration, especially in research, in academia. It gives you opportunities for leadership roles and, other big government roles. Then specialists can drive change in targeted areas. So most specialists are busy driving change. Say in patient education, you see that okay, they are specifically targeting one area of patient education, say HIV, say HIV prevention, right? They are specialists there and they are driving change, especially in low and middle income countries. They're the ones that, drive policies and, how to educate, create awareness, educate people about their lifestyle and habits, right? Especially they have confidence now, they have deep knowledge that builds authority and self assurance. So you're not just anybody. If, say, I come to you and as a specialist in, say, migraine, for instance, I'm coming to you because I believe that you've built authority in knowledge, and then you are self-assured. Whatever you're going to tell me will be like the final say. Yes, I could go on and search about it and use LLMs to check, but then at the end of the day, you are still better than any LLM, any Gen AI or Chat GPT stuff that I get to use, because you are the authority in that field. It's your papers that I'm studying. It's your papers that these LLMs are using to learn whatever what how to answer me when I put in my questions there, you know. And then there's deep domain knowledge, which allows for insightful contributions and problem solving. When specialists gather, when a specialist is in the midst of generalists, you see that the domain knowledge is deep, and then they have problem solving skills in that domain. Now, there's increased value, of course, because the area, most specializations, especially in healthcare, are limited, right? So, for instance, I think there was a time in Nigeria where they said there were only 11 clinical psychologists in Nigeria, the whole of Nigeria, a country of over 200 million people. How can they be so few? So imagine if you're a specialist clinician, clinical psychologist in Nigeria, you'll be a valued person, you'll be a valued professional, right? So they add greater value due to their focused skills and understanding in specific areas. Then there's greater efficiency, of course. No more time wasting, no more trial and error businesses. Operations and monitoring teams can execute trials more efficiently within their specialized areas. So, we'll say I'm having chest pain and I go to meet a generalist. They'll probably treat me based on some general questions, maybe my lifestyle and maybe how stressed I'd been in the past couple of days. But then a specialist from, say, the same general questions may pick one or two things, which will lead to more questioning and more observations and more tests, which could give me as a patient, the best treatment plan. So yeah, specialists build stronger relationships because they are niche players. They don't mingle. They don't do things anyhow, right? They can build lasting relationships with site staff, key opinion leaders in government, in big businesses and principal investigators in research. That is, if they are not mostly principal investigators themselves. Now, focusing on a meaningful area can protect against burnout, which many professionals suffer, especially in healthcare. Oh God, many times when I have to maybe talk to people in healthcare still in clinical practice, I pity them, from nurses to pharmacists to medical doctors, to even to the other allied professionals. There's burnout everywhere. People are complaining, and it's the reason why many people are leaving clinical practice because of burnout. Now, specializing in a role can prevent this because it provides purpose and pride in one's work, right? So, my people, I've been talking a lot today. Your niche is your professional brand. So it's what people associate you with. It's what you wake up to. It's what you wake up smiling about it. When you think about it, you're like, yeah, this is who I am, and I am happy to be here. Are you that person today? It opened doors to grants, opportunities, to meeting people, to going places. Right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how to identify your niche. How do you do this? There are several ways, there are several steps to take. First of all, self reflect, right? Gain experience, network with people on social media, out of social media. Identify value in that niche of interest, build knowledge, and start small. Start small. There's a proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. So your days of little beginnings make impact. Don't see it as nothing. Start with reading that article. Start with Googling that topic. You may not see the impact immediately, but it sure does. There are impacts. So what steps can you take now? When you know what to do, what steps can you take? Consider your interest, the skills that you are interested in, that niche, that specialization that you are interested in. Consider it. Then consider your career goals. Okay, say I want to do something in diabetes prevention, for instance, or patient education to prevent diabetes. What is my goal? Is it to become a professor in that field? Is it to move from being a pharmacist to being a medical doctor in that field, or being a nurse in that field? Is it to move from being in clinical practice into research? But then in that same field, are there questions you want to answer that practice may not give you the privilege to? So you want to go into research, you want to go into academia. Is there something that, or a style of teaching that you want for, you know generations after you, that you want to go and do in education and teaching? You consider your career goals, you identify areas that resonate with you. Yeah. So then, the next step is to pursue internships, volunteer work, right? Most of us don't like volunteering, it's free work anyways, but then it's good. And specialized coursework to develop hands-on experience and expertise. Go for that postgraduate program, right? Look at people that are doing things in your field, and ask, if you can, what they are doing and how they are doing. What courses are they taking? What programs are they enrolled in? You know, connect with professionals in the field to gain insights and guidance on different career paths. Many people, especially the clinical people in clinical practice, do not like to talk. They just like to write solo. Yeah, riding solo may work, but not for everyone. So if you think you want to, you've found a niche you want to specialize, why don't you go on platforms like LinkedIn, even ResearchGate, even your professional websites, platforms like medical associations, nursing associations. Look for people who are already in this field and gain insights from them. Sometimes you can even, ask if they're in the same location as you are. You can meet them, Tell them you want to buy them coffee and make sure you pay for that coffee. And you know, begin to get guidance on different career paths, how, you know, to, you know, go about this. And next, begin to seek opportunities where your specific skills can provide rare and valuable contributions. Seek opportunities, be it funding opportunities, be it conference opportunities, yeah, be it research opportunities, be it collaboration opportunities. You begin, because from here you begin to stand out from generalists. People begin to know you. You begin to discover yourselves. You begin to discover your own gift in that area. You begin to discover the impact you can make in that area. Then, of course, like I said before, take courses, attend conferences, read deeply. Transitioning from generalist to specialist roles is not easy. You need to read, you need to research. Yeah, this time is not reading because you're going to take an exam, which you may, you know, take some exams anyways. So read, understand what you are going in for, understand how to do it. Yeah, gain deeper insight, clearer insights. You, in reading and in studying, you begin to find, you know, those light bulb moments when you say, okay, yeah, this is it, this is what I've always wanted, this is where I've always wanted to be, this is what I've always wanted to study or research. Now, publish and present. How many of you have published at least one paper? It doesn't have to be original research. It could be review, it could be mini review, it could be an editorial, it could be something as much as small as maybe something on LinkedIn, maybe your thought on LinkedIn. Write something about that niche, produce something, present something, you know, look for conferences, look for even local gatherings. It's okay, I want to present something on this. I know in clinical practice, they give opportunities for presentation almost on a weekly or monthly basis. Look for one of those and begin to do something in your niche. Don't wait until you have it big. Don't wait until you move from your country of where you reside down to, say, a bigger place like America or Europe. Start somewhere, start small. Specialization is not a leap, it's a journey, and that's what I've been trying to explain about with saying starting small. It's a journey, so start with curiosity, start with your excitement, that zeal to be that person, that zeal to have that name, that zeal to have that network, that zeal to make that impact. It could be something you go and learn in one country, and you know the impact will even be in your own country, your own rural area, in your own village. For instance, I have people I'm talking with about what we are going to do in our village, you know, for our people, based on the skills we are gathering now, whether as generalists or specialists. Yeah, your commitment to make impact for yourself, your family, the people that will come after your family, that will come from you, the people that look up to you. So, although I've given examples about at least I've used myself as an example of a person who is transitioning from wherever I was in the hospital, clinical practice, industry, and now I'm in research. And this is where I want to be, anyways. But I also have examples of people who have successfully specialized in different clinical specialties. I'm working with one right now who is in my supervisory team. He's a pharmacist who became a leader, right? He's a leader in research now in deep prescribing research for older adults. I don't want to go deep into what he's doing, but I tell you, this guy, used to be a clinical pharmacist. Yeah. And then he worked for a while, but then he was more pushed to go into academics. Imagine leaving all the goodness that comes with being in clinical pharmacy to want to be in education, to want to be in research. But somehow that was the niche he wanted to be. He wanted to be a clinical pharmacist researcher in this particular area. And he's doing well. He's leading a very big research project with good funding right now, you know. And then I also know of a nurse. I met her a few days ago who specializes in health literacy, and she now leads a national patient education initiative in New Zealand. She's currently a PhD student. She moved from clinical practice um, to patient engagement, and now she's doing her research so that she can specialize in health literacy. And even before she finished her PhD, she's already leading something very big, a big initiative on patient education in New Zealand. So you can see what specialization does. It opens doors. If you know what you're doing as a specialist, it opens doors of opportunity, doors of impact. It gives you a name, right? And then another person is a friend of mine from South Africa who is a physiotherapist who is focused on fall prevention and has developed a community-based intervention program, right? This person is not doing PhD. She has a master's degree. She's, I think, an occupational therapist. She was an occupational therapist, then moved to study physiotherapy. She did a physiotherapy program, anyways, when she came here. And then she did a master's degree in fall prevention. Now she has developed a community based intervention program for in elderly patients in aged care too. So you can see people are specializing. It takes time, it takes dedication, you know, it takes knowing what you want and going for it. You will come across challenges. There are challenges. But then the good thing is at the end of the day, you look back and tell yourself, well done. Well done, guys. Well done. Well done, Rhoda. Well done, Brittany. Well done, everyone. Yeah, you tell yourself, well done. There's also a medical doctor, this person. I want to be like this woman when I grow up. She's going to be 65 soon. She started in medicine, studied medicine in the US, I think UC, yeah, California. And then she worked for a while, but then she knew clinical practice wasn't it for her because she didn't understand the politics of the word. She kept asking questions. Most of the questions she asked were not answered. You know, there's still up to now, there's still this gap between research, right, and practice. And practice, that gap is still wide. Even with AI, it seems researchers or academia who is supposed to be far ahead of practice is now the other way around, and the practice is, because of AI and everything. But it didn't used to be like that before. It used to be academic up there, practice down there, but then the gap is always there, even till now, right now, with the age of AI and AI agents right now, the gap is still there. And now she has transitioned into digital health trials. She now consults globally. She chairs big research groups across the world. Hers is not just a New Zealand thing, from the US to Europe, to the Pacifics. It wasn't easy for her, especially because she was pulling family, young kids, husband, moving from place to place, US to Australia to New Zealand, back to Switzerland, and back to the UK, then back to New Zealand. It's not easy. It wasn't easy on her at all. But today she's a global name, right? So, um, take those steps. Ask yourself if you're satisfied with where you are today. If you're a specialist already and you're watching this video, congratulations. People like us are looking up to you, and I hope you make impact that will touch people globally. Now, these professionals didn't just find a niche; they built a legacy. Especially the last person I talked about. It started with one decision to go deeper because she was asking questions from her seniors. Yeah, from her registered doctors. Then, as a young, as a young doctor, she was asking so many questions. She wanted to go deeper into a specific niche, and that was where her desire to specialize started from. So, you can see, generalists explore, specialists they deepen, they go deeper. Your niche is your compass, guys. It guides your career, it guides your life path, it guides your finances, it guides every decision that you take. Specialization brings clarity, impact, and growth. So, thanks for listening, guys, today. If today's episode resonated with you, take one step towards your niche. That's how you appreciate me, not even by subscribing. Take a step toward your niche today. Reflect, research, and begin to reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to people in your network. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications as more episodes will be released in the next few days. Share your journey with me on this channel, on the comment section, or wherever you find my email, and on Instagram at Rhoda360 underscore pod. That is pod. And remember, educate, motivate, elevate. Your niche matters. See you next time. Yeah.